Hello, today we will be starting part three of the credit section called What Influences Your Credit Score. A good credit score is typically between 730 and 750. You want to aim to be at this number and above. However, everyone's situation is different, so I will explain what factors go into your FICO score to help you understand what affects it. I will also talk about how to improve your credit score for each of these ranges. So, what influences my FICO score? It's important to know what affects your credit score so you can know how to improve it. Thus, we will go over what influences your score at how heavy an impact and how heavy of an impact each section has. To start off, payment history, which makes up 35% of your FICO score, shows whether or not you have paid off your loan payments on time and if you have paid them off as agreed. This is the biggest factor in a FICO score because it's a huge indicator to lenders that you can pay back a loan on time. Making payments on time improves this section, whereas payments, collection accounts, and bankruptcies will negatively impact your credit score. The next section is credit utilization, which is 30% of your FICO score. This also has a huge weight on your overall FICO score because the amount you currently owe helps indicate how much more debt you can take on and do so on time. It also checks if you are over relying on credit, which can indicate to a lender that you are unable to take on additional debt. Thus, a good rule of thumb to improve in this section is to use a low percentage of your available credit. Using a high percentage will negatively impact your score, and we will go over this more later. The length of credit history, which makes up 15%, measures how long your credit history is. It also considers the age of your longest credit account and the average of all your credit accounts, the average length of all your credit accounts. A longer credit history is good because it shows you have experience working with that debt. However, it is still possible to have a good credit score with a low amount of history. Using a credit score as soon as you can afford to do so will help you begin to build up your credit over time, which in turn will build this part of your credit score, of your FICO score. Credit mix, which makes up 10% of your credit score, looks at how you manage multiple types of debt. It looks at two different types, revolving and installment. Revolving debt includes credit cards and home equity lines of credit. Installment loans are the second type of debt, which includes car loans, mortgages, and student loans. The main difference between the two is that revolving debt is more flexible, and installment notes are fixed and harder to reapply to when compared to revolving debt. Being able to manage multiple types of debt shows lenders you are good at managing debt. And the final section, which is recent inquiries, which makes up 10% of your FICO score. This section measures how many credit accounts you have opened throughout your life, as well as if any of these accounts have been opened recently. When opening a new account, it is possible that your score will drop. This is because it creates a hard inquiry, which we discussed in the first video on credit. However, this is likely a short-term impact as it only reflects inquiries made in the past 12 months. Additionally, this can be mitigated by opening new credit cards, which diversifies your experience, as mentioned in the credit mix section. It can also improve this section of your FICO score. And how to improve your credit score. If your score is not where you'd like it to be, there are many steps you can take to improve your score. One way to do this is by checking your credit report for errors. This can include credit limits being incorrect, accounts that don't belong to you, and negative marks that can or should have been removed from your credit report. Another way to improve your score is to keep your credit utilization low. It is recommended that you keep it below 30%. Finally, the easiest thing you can do is make payments on time. By being consistent with your on time payments, you can build good credit history and improve your FICO score. That being said, that wraps up the end of part three. So thank you so much for listening.